Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Exposing LHH. I'm November. In this video, I'm going to be talking about all my diagnoses, current, not current, first ones, last ones, all, hold on, all current, past, why I have them, stuff like that. Don't know how long this video will be. Could be really short, could be really long. You'll know before I know. Anyways, so the first diagnosis I got was all the way back in 2014, and it was, 2013, when I first saw a counselor, and it was adjustment disorder. So basically what adjustment disorder is when you have, like, situational depression. It's basically what it is. It's when you have situational depression. I was really depressed. I was getting bullied. I was in 8th grade. A lot of stuff happening. Stuff like that. So then the next diagnosis was probably at a family that was a therapist. The next one was at a counseling center. It was depression, anxiety. I was really anxious. I've been anxious my whole life, actually. So I probably should have gotten diagnosed with anxiety earlier, but whatever. I was anxious my whole life. I was really anxious. And then the next one was at Summit Ridge, and this was insomnia. And then I had BPD traits, which borderline personality disorder. Basically, what it is I have all 9 symptoms, and I will read them out to you because I have all 9 symptoms. Okay. Let's see, borderline personality disorder. Okay, I have a whole book on this, but basically I'll read out the symptoms. It's loading. Okay. Frantic efforts to avoid... Okay. So you can be diagnosed with BPD if you're under 18. The only personality disorder you can be diagnosed under 18 is antisocial personality disorder. But it's discouraged and it's only used if it's really prevalent. So first is BPD traits, and that is frantic efforts to avoid real imagined abandonment. I'm to this day I'm like freaked out, and this is a current diagnosis, by the way. I'm freaked out if someone's going to abandon me. Like, I ask my roommate and my friends all the time, "Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me?" It probably drives them nuts. But I do everything I can to make people stay. A pattern of unstable and interpersonal relationships by altering between extreme ideation and de-vision. I do this with my family a lot because my family isn't really understanding of mental illness outside my mom, and my mom has her own issues. So I'll either, like, right now we're on good terms, like, I'll go to her mom, like, "I hate you." And I do this with my second cousin, who I talk to as well. I'm like, "I love you, cousin," and I'm like, "I hate you." So, identity disturbance. I don't know who I am, you guys. Like, honestly, I had to introduce myself the other day at a church social, and I'm like, "I'm November, I'm a Christian, I've got a cat, I'm a cat mom, I'm a mental health advocate, I'm a psychiatric survivors advocate." But other than that, like, it's getting better. Like, I'm learning who I am, but it's taking some time. Okay, so impulsivity in 2 areas: spending. So me, I'm horrible with money. Substance abuse, I have had that before. Binge eating, I've done that before, does not include suicidal self-mutilating. Recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures of threats, or self-mutilating behavior, all of the above. Affective instability due to a marked reactivity in mood. My mood can switch within the hour. Chronic feelings of emptiness. This is probably the symptom I'm least. Why is my phone not charging? Hold on, you guys. There we go. Okay, chronic feelings of emptiness. This is probably the least, but I'm always looking for something to fill the void. Inappropriate, intense anger. Like, little things can just set me off. Like, big things, I'm like, whatever. Little things, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end. Transient stress-related paranoid ideation and severe dissociative symptoms. I don't really have dissociation unless it deals with, like, trauma. Like, when I think about my trauma and when I talk about what happens at Lower Heights, I don't even feel like it's happened to me. I feel like I'm watching, so I know this is a common trauma response, but I feel like I'm watching someone else through a movie, is the best way I know to explain it, and I'm just standing back watching them from above. It doesn't feel like it happened to me anymore. And I have schizoaffective, which I'll get into in a minute, but I thought everyone was leaving me, I thought everyone was hating me. So before I had schizoaffective, I had this paranoid stuff. So anyways, okay. So then the next one is not active, and that is OCD, and I got diagnosed by that at Lower Heights, which I've made videos about, but I'll just touch it briefly. I was experiencing severe trauma at Lower Heights. I got beat up daily. I got cursed at daily. I got, inappropriate things sexually happening. I wanted to get off the unit and be away from all the people because everyone who was like causing disturbance was on unit restriction. I wanted to get off the unit and get away from those people. So I basically did everything I could to get off the unit. So that's where they got OCD. I was so anxious, like, when am I going home? When's my leave? Because you got something called temporary leaves. We get to leave for like a day or 3 days if you build up to it. When are we going to leave for this activity? So in OCD, people think it's with cleanliness. I thought that too because I was like, I'm not OCD. I'm a hot mess. My room's messy. And they're like, no, it's really obsessive thoughts. Anyways, I don't have that anymore. Bipolar 1 was diagnosed when I was 15 at Lakeview, and I just made a video. I don't know which ones are going first about male hospitals, but I was 15 out. I was at Lakeview, and I've been there 4 times. No, I just realized that. Yeah, I've been there 4 times. Okay, anyways, but basically I was on a bunch of Thorazine for some reason. Wasn't schizo at the time. So on a bunch of Thorazine, and I don't know why. I was just really manic, which is fine because now I have bipolar 1 too with I have schizoaffective, but it's really interesting because back then it was my first manic episode. I don't even remember much of it, to be honest with you, so I can't really even give you insight to that. Okay, so then my next diagnosis was depression with psychosis and, I skipped one, PTSD, before the bipolar. Didn't know I was diagnosed with PTSD, but I was diagnosed with what happened at Lower Heights. Didn't even know I was diagnosed until I read my medical records about a year and a half ago that I was diagnosed with it back then. But I was diagnosed with it before, and that is a current diagnosis. So is the BPD. The BPD and PTSD are current. Depression with psychosis was my next one, and that was at Summit Ridge. Hold on. Okay. So basically, let me explain something because it took me a while to get this to. But so there's bipolar psychosis, psychosis, NOS, depression with psychosis, schizoaffective, schizophrenia. So let me explain the psychosis spectrum. First, let me say I'm not a counselor, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. I started a degree in physics. So you could look at me and say, oh, I have no business talking about this. I've done extensive research on all of this. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. But again, take it for a drop in the ocean. Do not self-diagnose off this video. So start with what psychosis is. Psychosis is a loss of touch with reality. So that can be either by hallucinations. So it's called positive symptoms and negative symptoms. So positive isn't good. Just think of it something added. So that would be hallucinations and delusions. And I think, let me look it up. It's either like losing train of thought. Okay. Negative symptoms is stuff taken away. So you can just have psychosis isn't a diagnosis, it's a medical term. So psychosis NOS is a diagnosis, but psychosis as itself is just a medical term. Delusions, hallucinations, which are things that aren't real. So like hearing things, seeing things, smelling things, touching things. I don't know if you can have that, but you can have olfactory, which I have, like bugs crawling on your skin. Okay, so the negative symptoms is lack of speech and lack of energy. Think of the negative symptoms as almost like depression symptoms, but with psychosis, it's because of the psychosis, not because of the depression. That makes sense. But there is a lot of overlap in mental disorders. Anyway, so that's psychosis. So schizophrenia is psychosis. One symptom of schizophrenia is, hold on, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay, let's see. I don't want to add. Okay. Here we go. So you have to have 2 or more for a 1 month period or more. Delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech. Those are all psychosis symptoms. Disorganized or catatonic behavior and negative symptoms are other symptoms. Negative symptoms is psychosis. Wait, hold on. Let me think. Okay, so honestly, I don't know if negatives. Hold on. I don't know if you have negative symptoms of psychosis. Okay. So basically, you have to have disorganized speech and disorganized catatonic behavior aren't part of psychosis, they're part of schizophrenia. So schizophrenia, you have to have two of those. So here's where it gets complicated. So there's schizophrenia, right? And then there's schizoaffective. So schizoaffective is either schizophrenia, you have the symptoms of schizophrenia plus bipolar depression, and then bipolar psychosis or depression psychosis. You're like, well, what's the difference between schizoaffective and schizoaffective depressive type and depression psychosis? And this way gets kind of a little murky, but basically depression psychosis is you only have the psychotic symptoms when you're depressed. With schizoaffective, you can have them when you're not depressed. With bipolar psychosis, you have them when they are when you're manic or depressed. And then schizoaffective, you have when you're not depressed. And then schizophrenia, you don't have a mood symptom, if that makes sense. And then psychosis NOS is when you have just a psychosis without meeting the criteria of schizophrenia and without a mood disorder. Okay, so, alright, so now into my symptoms of psychosis. I have a whole spreadsheet somewhere. I can't get into right now because I don't have a laptop. But my symptoms for psychosis are, I hear, like, my biggest thing is, like, religious delusions. So I think there's a demon inside me. I'll hear voices tell me that there's a demon inside me to kill me. I'll feel like bugs crawling. That hasn't been in a long time. I've seen flames and demons, but that hasn't happened, thank God, since I've been on this medication for like 2 years now. But mostly it's just voices and thinking demons inside me, and I have to kill myself to get the demon out. It's really scary. I do not recommend it for anyone to go through. It's like a really bad acid trip, and I've only done acid once, and that's after I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. I didn't even know it was acid, but that made it 10 times worse. I was having a really bad day that day I did acid, and I didn't even know it was acid. So do not do drugs, kids. Okay. Next diagnosis was schizoaffective bipolar, because schizophrenia, they don't like diagnosing under 18, so I got diagnosed with schizoaffective bipolar, and I was like, well, why don't I just have bipolar psychosis? And they're like, first of all, your psychosis is too profound to just have bipolar psychosis, and second of all, you have it when you're not having mood episodes. So that's that. Then the next one is substance use. I have struggled with drug use. Struggle with opioids and pills, and weed, so I got diagnosed with that. Okay, so the next one is histrionic personality disorder, and one doctor thought I might have this. I don't even know if it was put down on a sheet, to be honest, but I don't think I have this, and this isn't active right now with my current psychiatrist, but I'll just tell you what it is. It's basically, seeks attention, talks dramatically with strong opinions, easily influenced, rapidly changing emotions, and thinks relationships are closer than they are. I do have some of these, but most of it overlaps with BPD. So anyways. Okay. And then schizoaffective depressive type. So my current diagnoses are as followed. Schizoaffective depressive type, which I just asked a psychiatrist one a couple of days ago. I'm like, why isn't that bipolar type? And she's like, well, you spend most of your time in depression. You're a little bit manic, but I don't know why it wouldn't be bipolar. But anyways, then it's borderline personality disorder, then it's PTSD, then it's anxiety. So those are generalized anxiety disorder. So those are my diagnoses right now. I already talked way long, and I've made like 3 other videos today, so I am pooped. I'm going to go relax, play with my kitten. My roommate got a new kitten that I have to show you guys, even though this is a, okay, I get it. Yeah, iCloud, I get it. This is Milo, my roommate's kitten, who's a love bug. He's so sweet, and he's 5 pounds, and he's 6 months. He's my little baby, and then I've got Jesse James, who, hold on, I'll find Jesse in here. It's like trying to find photo of Jesse the other day at this church outing I went to. I'm like, I don't have any of Jesse recently. Okay, here we go. I need to put him in my favorites. Hold on. There we go. But yeah, this is Jesse boy. That's my baby. And then we have 2 others. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.